Ulonkata bati yada tó yẹ kó máa da ifá. Inú tó yẹ kó jẹun ló fi bí pa. Ọba tálá, ọba takuntakun. Ṣàngó, Èṣù, Ògún, Ọya, Ọ̀ṣun. Ìwọ ló ń bọ̀ nílé. Kí ni ṣẹ̀ṣe tán ṣe nílé yìí o?
Alafia, peace and blessings. Welcome to another episode of the African Spirituality Experience. I am your host, Ori Meditation, and today we have on a returning guest who has dropped heat each time he's come through and blessed us with this Ashe. Brother Baba Fagbenga. What's good with you, Alafia? How you doing, Baba?
Alafia, I'm great. How about yourself, man?
Can't complain, man. It's been a little while, brother. It's been a little while, but we still making it do what it do, holding it down, man. These Shay streets.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
this is how we do, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. So it's it's a lot going on since the last time we spoke, and I feel like it's probably gonna keep going, but
it will. I say,
yes, sir. But I know from the last couple calls we did, one of the things that I got from listeners and people who are part of the community is like the level of healing and some of the work that you do, in regards to what you do with your work and your ministry. And so I wanted to kind of ask a few questions in regards to that, especially like where we are right now in this space and time with a lot going on, not just in America but across the globe. But for us as men, and I feel like I definitely look at you as someone who I consider to be an alpha male, a leader of the leaders, in terms of how you move and just the energy that I pick up from our exchanges. So with that, like what would you share for some of our listeners and some of our brothers who might be dealing with things like mental health, or it might be stress, or it could be like physical, like body ailments, or just all type of things that could be bringing them down in regards to health, whether it's mental health, physical health, or spiritual health, regardless. What are some things or some types of advice or some types of maybe strategies or tips or tools that you can give to maybe some of our brothers who may be dealing with something in terms of like, even let's go with mental health, and how we can kind of combat that with some practices or some strategies or tools.
So mental health is something that is very important, something that is not addressed in our community, Black community especially. And a lot of us are kind of shameful of certain things, and, some of the ways of our ancestors were kind of to neglect it and to kind of push forward because, we have ultimately the willpower to do so, So, but it doesn't allow us to have a very joyous life. And I think that some of us, we even frown upon, somebody that is joyous, or which was for me. I was very glad to see someone like Pharrell when he came out with the song "Happy," because they were enabled to see a Black man, and not like a younger Black man. He's kind of a little older Black man, to still be joyous, but still not kind of be questionable, in his movements. He has wife, he has children, this and that. So for him to be able to express it and for other people to kind of embrace it, that was like a big thing for our community and specifically for our Black men, So concerning mental health is something that things like that should be a point of reference to say, like, this is necessary and it's nothing to be afraid of, because when it happens, it looks like this. And It's something that the entire world loves, especially your Black queen, your woman, as well as the Black family. All of us need to show up to our families as our best self, and our best self will always be some variation of joy. So, and joy is not necessarily happiness. It's not like happiness is typically associated with an activity or fun, but you can be joyous just sitting there. So even our understanding of, tears, how many times have you cried and it be joyous tears versus sad tears? A lot of us don't have a lot of joyous tears, So mental health is something that, a lot of us that are just physical, they're more into the material nature of things, Your mind is, is a part of your body, and it's typically the thing that's going to how you're going to interact with the world. So our understanding is that you have multiple bodies. You have your spiritual body, you have your physical body, your mental body, your energetic body. You have different bodies that are governing you. So if you just think of your mind as if it's separate from all of the other things, you might be missing of how you can become mentally stable or mentally fortified or mentally enlightened or elevated. So I think that we should all, focus on mental health, because it's kind of how we promote ourselves or exhibit ourselves in the society. But there are other areas that will also affect your mind, and like the Ori and Ifa is the exact concept of your spiritual mind, the spiritual head. So this is the thing that's kind of leading you. So even if you think that you are sound mentally or intellectually, if you're not in alignment with your Ori, and that in which your Ori is in alignment with your destiny, you will be off to some degree. And if you continue to be off to your Ori, your Ori will leave you. So mental aspect is very important, but the entirety of what that will look like, how to keep it stabilized and healthy, is the bigger picture.
Sure. Yeah, no, I agree, and I love the answer too, because you gave me a lot to unpack and to shift into the next question. And I think you mentioned 2 or 3 things that really stood out to me in regards to how significant our Ori is, in our mental health and alignment. And there was I don't know if you heard of it, but since last time we spoke, there was a young brother who he's from Jacksonville, but he was an artist. His name was Julio Fulio.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so yeah, man. So he, unfortunately, he got assassinated here in the Bay Area in Tampa, not too far from. I'm not that far from where it happened at, and it bothered me. I ain't gonna lie. Like, I never heard of Young King before. I didn't know his work, didn't know his music, didn't know really anything about him. But when I saw the story, it bothered me. Because that's something that we spoke about in our previous conversations in regards to how we want to guide and direct our young kings, our young warriors, our young brothers and sisters, for that matter, but especially the young brothers, because we know that there's a lot of genocide culture out there. Starting with the music and entertainment, drug game, what I'm saying, the street mentality. And so what I've gathered and learned since that is that him and another young brother, I think Young and Ace, was beefing, and their groups was beefing. And it kind of brought me back to the Pac and Biggie shit. And it was just like, it pissed me off just like that did, because these young brothers, they young, they like early 20s, same, just like Pac and Big. And it's like, we're still dealing with that 3-4 decades later, you know what I mean, from when you and I grew up in that era of the Big and Pac beef. And it's like, we got to figure out some sort of way to get our young kings to get in alignment with their Ori, to get in alignment with, their selves, and figure out some type of ways to create, I feel like, action plans, you know what I mean, to give some sort of support, when it comes to mental health. Because when I look at you, I'm looking at another guy. I'm looking at a God King. I'm looking at somebody who I look at as a reflection of myself. I don't want to look at you as somebody who I want to murder, or somebody I want to beat, or somebody I want to fight. So it's like, what can we do in regards to, let's just say, as a whole, as society, as our culture as a whole, what are some of the tools that you feel like are most effective for us to kind of hopefully start implementing within our daily lives that kind of can help the alignment with our Ori and our intention, and just different tools or activities that can kind of help us to bring balance, or to bring clarity, or to bring some sort of happiness to where we're not looking at wanting to go out and be beefing and warring with each other.
So number one is mentorship. That's something that we don't have enough of. And I've had an organization that helps young boys, young men, especially like the media, how it portrays young men. And the media, as long as the media portrays it like this, you yourself, you're taking your own image and thinking like, okay, this is who I should be, you know, or this is even my potential. My potential is, you know, I forget my man's name, but
Fulio?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Fulio. My potential is this, you know, I can get up in this age and then I could pass away. So the media is kind of showing you this type of thing. And in general, if you look at the last couple months, 2-3 months, you know, there's a lot of like black men that they're showing that have died. Like,
yes,
and it's really just kind of signifying this is, you know, we will all die, but why do we have to die today? You know, so
right.
The media is kind of saying like, listen, you know, you probably should die. And in fact, you should probably die young and you should die foolishly. So the number one thing is, for my understanding, is mentorship, and that we as, you know, black men, we need to do a better job of standing up for our youth, you know, concerning helping them to elevate, because ultimately somebody did it for us, you know.
Right.
I wouldn't be here if my father didn't do it for me and other men that are around me. I wouldn't be here. So we have to take that same leadership approach, the same understanding, and see like, how did I get to this place? And we need to do that for our youth, because our youth, this is the future. And how we would like to see our future directly ties into how we are going to upraise and rear those that come after us, you know. And we deserve, you know, I wouldn't say deserve, but we owe it to our future self. You know, these beings, our young black men, as well as our young black women, they are our future selves. You know, the reality is they are an extension of us. So, you know, when we grew up, there were certain things that you couldn't do. Like if I went outside, there are certain parents around the community that had the authority to, you know, dish out punishment. So if I'm acting up, you know, my neighbor, she whooped me a few times, you know, but because she knows the principles that in which my mother and father, they stand on. So if you're breaking these things, they're like, you know, you're an extension of these beings. So you don't have the ability to kind of go outside of those things.
Right.
So, you know, it's definitely, that's the number one thing, is mentorship concerning black men to younger black, young adults. It's 100% necessary. So that's number one. You know, second is, well, number one, A is mentorship. 1B is spirituality. You know, it's hard to get a young person involved in spirituality, but the reality is, most of us will become inquisitive after a certain age about spirituality anyway. You know, 18, 19, 20, you start to kind of begin to learn or try to think about, who am I? So part of that who am I is the spiritual being. So if someone is able to corral you or address you and assist you at that time period, you know, it becomes vital for the development of the youth.
Sure. Yeah, no, I agree wholeheartedly too. And I think one of the things as you was breaking down your answer, what I could kind of hear or see in my mind and hear in my inner thoughts is that I feel like we got to make an initiative to make healing cool, or to make, you know what I mean, healing rich, because I feel like there's a misconstruction into what's real and what's soft, or what's real and what's not. You know what I mean? It's like, so I know, because I've been in similar situations like what you're explaining, how you were brought up, the same thing. So it's like we knew there was a code that we couldn't get around or get outside of. You know what I mean? Like, there's going to be repercussions and consequences, whether it's the parents, the aunties, the uncles, the cousins, like you said, the neighbor. You know what I mean? Like, so we knew, and even if they didn't take up arms and do it to us, they let the person who could and would do it know. 100%. So they, you know what I mean? So we 100%. Knew it was going to be
for sure.
We knew it was, yeah. So and I know, because I know firsthand. I've been in those situations. So yeah, so it's like now, you know, and it's different, man. These children are different. Like I know it firsthand from the ones I see and raise to all the ones, all my family and friends who have children as well. That like we all can concur this is a different generation and they different. So it's like I'm just thinking to myself, challenging myself, what can I do differently to kind of make a positive impact with that? And so like this conversation is one of the ones that I look forward to because I feel like it has the potential to resonate with the audience that I would like for it to resonate with, and to hopefully make some sort of impact, even if it's just a little bit of a spark that can kind of spark something, into growth. And I think two things that I definitely would love to, have your take or your opinion on is how significant or how impactful do you feel meditation is in regards to like finding alignment, with our Ori, or finding how to develop and to kind of get in tune with our inner self and our spirit, you know what I mean? And then also with the process of spiritual development, like how significant do you feel like meditation is in this particular aspects of our young, kings and queens lives, and especially with the development phase of their lives?
For sure. So as if our practitioner, one of the things that we do, what we are taught to do in the morning is that when you first arise, you are to put your hands on your head and you are to call your Ori. And then you are to speak to your Ori. And you are to try to tell your Ori, this is what I would like to do throughout the day. And in that moment, your Ori may respond to you as well. But that portion is to first acknowledge that, it is because of your Ori that you are, arising and that you are even here. You're only here on this planet because you're trying to accomplish a certain purpose or fulfill a mission. That's what you're here to do. Your Ori is the one that is your personal guide, your personal assistant to do so. So that alone is the first way that we learn how to meditate. So meditation is something, so it's a great way to understand this understanding that, when we do a lot of our works, a lot of our rituals, a lot of our prayers, we use items, different tools, OBOT, OWO, these things. But when you pray, you're praying to these Orisha. And this is good. This is necessary. You need to be able to connect with nature and harmonize with nature, for sure. So that's a prayer you're requesting outside. But when you meditate, that's the time where the Orisha and Olodumare, God, will answer. So this is your prayer. This is like you calling on the phone and you speaking. But meditation is the inward portion. It's coming back. That's when you get to hear the voice of God. So Ori is the one that connects to Olodumare. So, you will end up hearing God if you're able to sit with yourself. And so in many different spiritualities, it will tell you about, and it will talk about sitting with yourself, or to sit in silence, or to be still. So to be still is to be in one with the universe and Olodumare. So meditation is absolutely necessary and essential for not only for you to hear, to grow, but to continue to elevate spiritually. Yeah.
Man, I love that. I really do. And I've had this conversation or similar conversations in terms of Ori and meditation, all that, with other guests before too. But I wanted to get your perspective and your viewpoints on it, because I know you are a multifaceted practitioner. You have a lot of different tools, in your belt, in which you can utilize in terms of healing work for people. And I think, especially for our younger generation, but even people from like our generation, 80s babies, there's a lot of people who struggle with meditating, right? There's a lot of people who struggle with being able to sit still, sit with self for even a couple of minutes at a time, let alone 10, 15, 20, 30 plus minutes. And a lot of what you said I can relate to, because when I try to describe what meditation is, or the significance of meditation to people, I use the metaphor as if we look at our bodies like we look at our cell phones. You can't keep that cell phone off the charger all day without having to plug in some juice. You know what I mean? So for me, like you said earlier, because we do have the multitude of bodies that we have, our work bodies, and the different levels of energy bodies that we have with us, I look at it like that's us plugging into, the universe as the charger to get that charge back. You know what I'm saying? To charge up that energy body that works out, because we do recharge and rebuild and all that during sleep, but it's a different kind of charge too. You know what I mean? Like some people, I don't know, like I got an iPhone. I know when the iPhone go to, I think, past 25% or 20%, it goes to low battery mode, and then it's like a different like look on the battery. So it's like the charge is different for that when it's in that mode. So that's how I kind of try to share with people. That's how meditation is. It's a different charge, and we need that charge too. You know what I mean? We don't need just sleep charge. We need that other charge, because that's going to bring the attunement. That's going to bring the alignment, and that's going to really help sharpen the communication with inner self and the Ori. Our intention is, like you said, you can get a lot of answers from the Creator directly through that tapping in or plugging into meditation with the universe. So for someone like you, who I know has experience with these practices and modalities, what would be your message or your tip that you would give someone who struggles with like having a mind that's all over the place, and it's really hard to quiet the mind down? It's hard to get it to settle down and just, you know what I mean? Like really just sit and like in silence. Some people really struggle with that. So is there anything that you can kind of share with how, or what's a way to go about trying to like tap into that stillness to kind of really start developing, the ability to be consistent with meditation?
Yeah. So if your mind is all over the place, this is exactly what is necessary. It's an acknowledgement. Your bodies are trying to help you or tell you that you need help in this area. Like, say, for instance, if you have like stomach pain, you're not going to like not eat. The body is saying, hey, listen, I'm telling the brain, hey, listen, I know, you got things going on right now, but hey, when you get a second, please, could you stop and feed us? That's what it's a sign. So if your mind is going everywhere, it's a sign, like your mind is saying, hey, listen, when you get a second, we need to stop and organize ourselves and clean ourselves so that we can, continue, having a balanced experience versus a experience that right now is all over the place. Is a sign of that. It's a cluttering. So meditation is kind of a decluttering or a cleaning. So in general, spirituality, you can kind of think of it in the same way as your body, your physical body, in that there are two things with your body you do every day. And this needs to be the same exact understanding spiritually, and that with your body, hopefully you're going to cleanse it every day, and you're going to feed it every day. So these two things allow this body to keep going. So it's the same thing with your spiritual body, your energetic body, your mental body. So the difference is with your mind, it will be fed whether you like it or not. So you're just not realizing it. So your mind may be all over the place because what you're feeding it may be all over the place as well. Like when we're talking about the media will be all over the place. So this and that and death and sickness, and you should fear, and look at all this, the money issues and this and that. It's feeding you this really world of insanity, or like a lot of mixed signals, a lot of fear to be able to control you. So it's the same thing with your spirit and your mind and any governing bodies. You're going to have to cleanse it, and you're going to have to feed it. So if your mind is all over the place, it's saying that maybe you should start with a cleanse. You should cleanse your body. So in Ifa, we would say this Ori appeasement. So you do this thing, or even if you're not in Ifa, you can cleanse it by way of meditation. So some of the things you can, when you meditate, just being still, you can kind of exhaust some of the clutter. So one of the ways that I did it prior to being a yoga practitioner as well, is that I would meditate and I would just think of all of the thoughts that were kind of sporadic inside of my mind, and I would just think about them until there was nothing left to think about. So you're exhausting it so that, okay, well, that's not going to be like, thoughts come tomorrow, come the next hour, come 2 days from now. Those thoughts will not continue because I've exhausted them. So say someone like even someone like has anger management issues, they will say you need to go to a gym or you need to develop an exercise so that you can exhaust this energy that you're having, so that when it comes time for an issue to occur, you're not left with thinking of anger. It's already exhausted. You have to try another way to deal with the anger. So it's the same thing, same concept. So you need to exhaust. Meditation is a way to exhaust these all of these things within someone's mind if you find them being out of control. But just in general, being still allows all of these things to settle. When you're moving around, you will notice your heart will pump. You will have your blood cells going many different places. But when you take a seat, just physically, when you take a seat, your body begins to settle. Same thing with your mind. When you meditate, it's like sitting down. It's like taking a seat with your mind so that it can begin to settle. It can just begin to settle. So these are the concepts, the understandings of allowing someone that has these issues with their mind. These are direct ways so that, this doesn't become an issue in the future.
Sure. It's funny because I wanted to go to yoga, but I'm gonna come back to that because as you're saying that, you triggered something from a previous conversation that we had, and I remember asking you a question along the lines of when it comes to like relationships or partnerships or like workplace environment, when you have some people who may have a positive, bubbly, bright spirit and energy, kind of like Pharrell, the happy. You know what I'm saying? Vibrational frequency vibe. And then you got some people who might always be pissed off in a negative, negative mood, or, you know what I'm saying? Like always just grumpy and just like pissed off at the world. And I remember asking you the question, like, how do you deal with that if you're the one who has the Pharrell type energy? And I can't remember your answer verbatim, but I liked it because you framed it to where the person who has the Pharrell energy is not necessarily a better person than the person who has the grumpy or negative energy. It's just that they've developed something within themselves to where they're able to kind of operate on a higher frequency on a more consistent basis than that particular person. So I know that that's a common thread and a common theme in all environments, whether it's a husband, wife, whether it's a boyfriend, girlfriend, whether it's sister, brother, whether it's brother, et cetera, et cetera. What are some ways for people who feel like they're in the rut or feel like they, like pissed off at the world, or maybe just acting like everything just going wrong, they just can't get a break? It's like, damn, man, car break down, or, whatever, just all kind of random stuff happening simultaneously. What are some of the things that you think someone who's dealing with some, situations like that in their life now can do to kind of help reverse or flip the script in terms of the frequency and energy and how they're, how they're vibrating, in regards to their moods?
So number one, that could be, that you're having mental challenges and that you really need to begin to develop or take within processes to assist with this. Once you know you have issue, you must begin to work on the issue. So that's number one. But number two, if you're someone that feels like things are always happening to you, you must understand that. There's a great quote that says that 10% of life happens to you. Like, you're born, that has happened, but also, the greater understanding is that, everything that you are going through in this lifetime, you are the one that has requested it prior to you coming here. That's the Ifa understanding. So whatever you think that happens, good, bad, or in between, you're the one that asked for this. Now you must kind of go inside to see, why would I ask for such a thing? Why would I ask for a life that's hard like this? So to finish the quote is that 10% of life happens to you. 90% of life is how you respond to that in which what happens to you. So we must develop this understanding that allows us to kind of grab hold of accountability in that, we are the ones that ultimately create our reality. We are the ones, So no one is able to do it to me. I will only be the one to do it to myself, Like someone say, for instance, someone, man, this person pissed me off, man. You're like, actually, you allowed this person to piss you off. No one can piss you off. No one. It's only your own self that allows it to happen. So it's all spiritualities say this, and yoga is like a very centralized point of like ensuring that you understand that you are the creator of your realm, of your environment, of your universe. So, if someone is having these thoughts and they're being upset because they feel like things are happening, I would suggest that you understand these two concepts, that in which is you are the creator of your reality. And you must realize that life is not about fair. It's not about fairness or something like this. Like Beyonce was born with her voice. Mariah Carey was born with the voice. Like, you can train it. You can train as, like, if I wanted to sing like Usher, I could train as much as I would like. But the reality is my voice, it doesn't have the same cap as Usher does, So he's born with this. Is that fair? It's not about what's fair. It's about what you are here to do. I wasn't here to do what Usher's here to do. That's all. So that understanding is, those two understanding, I see that, number one is, maybe you need to develop a process if you're feeling like things are always going against you or your life is being hard. Number two is that, you need to understand that, good or bad, you are the one that chose this life. And, number three is that life is not fair. So the better you understand this, the easier that sweetness and the joy will come to you. Like, yes, for sure. Even like people that feel like it's not fair, people have a lot of privileges,
Oh yeah.
Like a lot of privileges, number one, you're Black, like this is like a privilege,
Yes.
It's not like something is going against you. It's a privilege. And that a lot of things in your DNA, you are the dominant one, you're dominant.
Yes.
So especially like athletically, you're dominant. And you have lots of melanin. This speaks to your genius. You are dominant. So we're having privilege. Me, myself, I'm sitting here. I have privilege.
Oh yeah.
So, and it was given to me, so it's not like, so a lot of us have privileges of our own, I was dealing with this one woman just the other day, and she was crying, this and that. My life is this and that. But this woman is very pretty. So she's sitting here crying. But I'm like, you're saying it's not fair, but also your prettiness is not fair. It's not. What are you saying?
Listen, man, listen.
So what are you talking about?
Yeah.
If you just change the perspective, you will kind of see like, oh, okay. And that's the understanding of being conscious. Meaning it's saying that I can see myself seeing, or I can see myself seeing others seeing things. So that kind of depends on your level of consciousness. But being conscious is to be aware, like, I do have privilege, or I did choose this life, or I know that life is not fair, and I know that I need to be involved myself with processes, spiritual processes, this and that. To be aware is senior to all, and this is the concept or the preaching or the understanding of the great Orisha, or what they call the greatest Orisha, Obatala, is that to be conscious.
Yes, sir. No, I love that answer. That's definitely my baba. And it's so funny. I've had similar conversations with people in regards to the mindset, because it really is about mindset. Because I've seen people who might not be necessarily happy about a certain aspect of themselves physically, but I'm like, yo, you know how many billions of people on the planet would love to have what you have, that even though you're not, and I get it, because I'm not where I want to be, you know what I mean? But I'm still grateful for what I do have, and I know I can work on getting to where I want to be, or getting back to where I used to be, by putting in the work. But And one of the things too, I can't remember what part of your answer, but it was something that you said that triggered about like accountability or like life not like 90% of life doesn't happen to us, or we chose. And it reminded me of a book that I love. It's called The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz.
Sure.
It's a powerful book, man. It's one of those things where the four, I pulled it up while you was giving the answer because sometimes I forget one out of the four, but the four agreements are to be impeccable with your word, don't take anything personally, don't make assumptions, and always do your best. And man, when I read that book the first time, like, yo, it really gave me a whole nother level of like perspective on how, you know, not to take things personal, no matter what. Because when people do stuff, whether they do it to you or it affects whatever, you know, it affects you somehow, somewhere, that wasn't about you. It was about them.
Yeah,
you know
sure.
And it's like there's nothing you could have did to either change what they did, what they said, or how they did it. There's nothing in your power that you could have did to stop that. But like what you were saying, is how you respond and react to that is where, you know, where the true power is. And that goes back to what you're saying in regards to how you respond and react to things. The power is in not giving your power away. And that's something I give the utmost appreciation to Baba Obatala for, because before I was officially a child of his, I struggled with that a lot. That was a major struggle of mine because I always had, I felt like a chip on my shoulder. You know, I always had a kind of, you know, disposition of, you know, always being riled up and rah, you know what I'm saying? Like just for every little thing, even like traffic, you know what I mean? It's like,
yeah,
you know, like, it's like
you'd be like, dang, you know, that perspective, you're like, man, do you own the road? Like what's happening, you know?
That's why I use that one, because that's somewhere where I know for a fact. And even now I still struggle a little bit, but nowhere near like I used to, because I've learned to adapt the mindset, like we were talking about, is the mentality, you know, and the four agreements, like don't take things personal, you know, and what they did wasn't about me. It was about them doing whatever the hell they doing and me reacting or not reacting and responding to the best of my ability. That's what's about me. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's a real thing, man. For real.
I'm gonna add to that story that I have that allowed me to take away the traffic, what do you call it, being road rage. So yeah, so one time I was like 20, 21, something like this, and somebody was swerving. You know, I was going, somebody swerved in front of me, and then I said, no problem, I'll just get over it. And they swerved again. I was like, you know, like, what's going on? I went to the next lane, and I was like, I'm about to pull up, and I'm really going to share with this person, you know, how I feel. They're going to get many pieces of my mind, right? So, however, when I pulled up and then I looked, I seen that, oh, you know, this person was looking down. They had steam coming from their lap, and it was like, oh, okay, I could gather that they have spilled like their coffee on themselves. So it's like this person may be actually burnt, you know, they may be like a real thing for themselves. So that's when I learned that, oh, you know, you don't never know what somebody's going through. So not only on the road, but in life, you don't never know what somebody's going through or what has just happened, you know. So on the road, that gave me patience on the road to say, oh, you know, number one, I don't own the road. We all share this road. We're sharing this. Right. And then number two, you know, you don't know what somebody's going through at all. Just the other day, my aunt, she was right behind a car that had a major accident. But she realized that when she got out, she was trying to help the person, but the person was having a stroke. So the person had a stroke and hit the car. So it ain't even nothing they could do about it. Nothing they could do about it. So again, you know, and this person that had the stroke had just left the hospital from having a stroke and was on their way to get the medicine to help with this, for sure. So you don't know like what people are dealing with. And even to add on to the point that you were saying, that don't, in terms of the book, the four agreements, don't take it personal. I would add on to that and say that another way to understand that is that you should take it personal. You should take things personal, in that you and another person, they are not separate. That person is you. If you grew up like this person, you would be like this person. So that person is you. That person is another you. That's how you should look at it. So personally, you should take it. You should take it personal and have like our Baba Batala or Isenla, like, you know, this is compassion. This is the way to understand each other so that we can kind of unify together and kind of understand the true essence of spirituality, and that, you know, it's really all one. We're all one. So the faster we realize this, the faster we can kind of unify and move like one. So sorry for interrupting, but I just had to tell these two stories. So.
Nah, that's spirit, man. Spirit doing what spirit do, and I appreciate it because it added a whole nother dynamic and perspective of where we're going, and it's real. And it's funny because I'm listening to a book now, a very powerful book. An elder introduced me to, and he's a healer. I think he's been a healer for like, I don't know, maybe about 40 years, maybe 30, 40 years. And he introduced me to this book called Being Supernatural, powerful piece of work by, I think, Dr. Joe Dispenza. And so, anywho, he does a lot of healing work, Reiki work, crystal, you know, all that stuff. He's deep into the metaphysical healing space. And he kind of recommended that book to me, and I'm glad he did, because it kind of gave me the opportunity to pivot from focusing everything on just business and, you know, spirituality, and also getting back to kind of like my roots from when I first started studying and being someone who was a student of culture, a student of spirituality, a student of history and heritage, you know, all the above. But it brought me back to how significant and how powerful not just meditation is, but also intentions and intentional thoughts, or intentional, you know, feelings, or just moving with intention, and how powerful it is when, you know, you do it with absolute faith. And it even brought me further back to one of the first self-help or personal development books that I read. I think it was called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And he went deep into that, like auto-suggestion and how to program the subconscious mind, all these modalities or what have you. But I say all that to say that when we tap into the meditation and the healing aspects and intention and all that, it's very powerful, because I know for a fact there's been times where I felt like I was able to like literally manifest things because of the intention and the faith that I put into, you know, those thoughts or those affirmations. And so when you talk about the healing thing, you also practice, is it sound healing, or like working with like sound bowls or something?
That's correct. Sound healing. I work with tuning forks.
Tuning forks. Okay.
Sure.
Perfect. So is there anything that a person like myself, who I don't own any sound bowls or any anything that has to like that does anything with any type of like audible healing, but what would you recommend for somebody like myself who's a novice, or someone who like heard about it or want to try it out, or they want to kind of get into sound healing or energy healing, like, but they want to do it themselves? Maybe they're not comfortable with going to someone, or they might not have the budget, or whatever the case may be, but they want to still work on some sort of development or healing that uses sound, you know, that technology of sound. What would you recommend for people like that, are beginners, to kind of work on that, if that was something they were interested in?
For sure. So one thing I would help anyone understand, that if you want to get into sound, that sound is, you know, I would say that it is senior to all things, in that I'm not saying it's better. I'm just saying it's when you look at sound is just reverberation of an energy. And so all of the universe is this, you know, universe come from a sound. So even if even the Europeans have tried to discover this and say that, oh, this happened with a big bang. So this is a sound reverberation that has happened, that has transformed all things, you know, even the material state. It's just happening. You just realize it because it's at a certain frequency that allows it to be stable. But when you introduce different frequencies to something that is material, it will dematerialize. It will go to a different state. So, you know, this is something that, so if you're concerned with being a beginner, all people they're well versed in sound. They just don't know it. So I would say that don't be scared of any sound healing. You should go to a sound healer, because it's the best way to organize your sound in the way of healing. But if you're just saying that, how do I change my perspective on sound? Is a easy way of, listening to different frequencies. Or there are a few different types of frequencies that you can listen to that are well known. So I would start there. Some people would consider the solfeggio sound scale, which is like they have 417 and 432 and then 528 and 617 and 741 and 860. I forget, 852 and then 963. You can go through these frequencies, these hertz, and you can listen to it if you have YouTube or if you have any streaming services. They have many people that will just have recorded things at this frequency. And to add on to that, concerning how music is, it used to be at a certain level. It used to be at 432, which is kind of a very healing way of healing persons, whoever listens to it. So they changed, the music industry changed what the format or what it should be given to people concerning the baseline of frequency. And that change, if you look at that frequency, it's really it's kind of a negative frequency. And so that you can kind of see how that has transformed people from being at one vibration versus another vibration. The more and more you're listening to these sounds, so sounds all around. But just in general, if you want to do that, you can go and again look up on YouTube or any streaming services the solfeggio frequency numbers. They are kind of organized in the same numbers that I've said. So you can warm yourself up like this, and you will notice you can take a before and after, if you would like, of what it is that you felt prior to listening, and then what it is that you felt after listening. And also there's a understanding of binaural beats that kind of take this concept as well, and they utilize it in a healing way. It's something that has kind of assisted with the transformation of many people, concerning perspective, and that's one thing about spirituality or all of these governing bodies, all of your governing bodies, that once you're involved with a process, it's going to do it for you.
Oh yeah.
So that's the thing. You don't have to like when you eat, you're not like in your body saying, okay, I'm going to take this one to the liver. I'm going to take this one to the lung. I'm going to take this one to the shoulder. And then you're not doing it. All you got to do is involve yourself in the process of doing it. And then the rest will take care of itself. So that's the biggest takeaway in that concerning all of these things concerning healing, is that just involve yourself in a process and it will do the rest. It will do the rest. So yeah, I think that's how someone would warm up to sound healing, or beginning to have sound healing as a practice that they receive.
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah, that's dope. That's powerful, and I feel like what I'm about to say next will be accepted on a whole nother level thanks to one brilliant mind. But it reminds me of me, like in my I would say my journey in spirituality and consciousness. Like I went and stopped. I'm trying to think of, I can't even remember what year I started, but I listen to a lot of meditation music now. So it's like music with no words. It's just straight up, you know what I'm saying? Like meditation music. I have several different playlists that I use, and a couple of artists that stand out. One of them is an Asian dude named Kataro, and he has this song called Oasis, bro. I probably listen to that song thousands of times because I'll just put it on repeat and just zone out. You know what I mean? Like, because now the way you broke that down, I know for a fact it's the frequencies that's working on the inner me, and it's like, I feel it and it feels good. And it's like, it gives me the opportunity to like let my mind travel and just, it just really helps me to like just think, but not to be monkey minded and busy, but just I can go into a deep thought, and a deep concentration, or I can just kind of chill, like, and I could be driving, like whatever, but I can still be like just tuned into the sounds, and it gives me, kind of like you said, it gives me a refreshing feeling, or it gives me like a jump start, or you know what I mean? Like it really does something to me to kind of charge me up energetically. And now what you just said makes perfect sense. But I said what the One Brilliant Mind, I feel like we saw that recently when Three Stacks dropped the album, the Flute album. You know what I mean? Like, people are so funny because I got homeboys used to laugh at me because I was listening to the meditation music. I had to do shout out to my boy Rick. He heard me listening to it one day when I tell you, like, my dog, he got so hot, he was like, man, what you listening to, bro? I'll never forget it, bro, because it really, like, it made him mad. Like, my boy was hot, and mind you, we cool. Like, we used to hang out and everything outside of work, but it was like he was so blowed to hear me, I guess, listening to that kind of music where it made him mad. It's like, man, what the F you listening to, man? I was like, bro, I said, it's all good, bro. It's all good.
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, as you were saying with the Oasis track, you know, it made you feel a certain way, and it's something that brought you back to listen to it many times because you're recognizing, you're conscious that it's making me feel this way, and I would like to feel this way. You know what I'm saying? It's not saying that like something that you don't like, you're like, well, I don't want to listen to it because it's making me feel this way. So it's recognizing that, like, a lot of the music that we're listening to is making us feel a way that's negative, and we don't like to feel that way, but we're kind of like pushed into doing it, but we're not conscious enough to say that I'm going to step away from this because I don't like how it makes me feel. Even if I like this sound of it, I don't like how it makes me feel.
Yeah.
So you're saying the same thing, and to add to that, I had this one understanding of this one doctor, Asian doctor, I forget his name, but he did this experiment.
Water.
Correct. So 100%. So us ourselves, you know, we are made up of a lot of water. You know, some people would say 75%, this and that of water. And many neurologists, they're going to tell you that the brain is encased in the water, in the fluid. So if you, as this doctor so pleasantly expressed or showed, that when you play a certain frequency to a body of water, it will respond a certain way. When you play a different frequency, it will respond a certain way. Even if you speak to it, which is a frequency to a water, if it's frozen, it will respond a certain way. If you speak to it in a positive manner, it will respond a certain way. If you speak to it in a negative manner, it will respond a certain way. And when you look at the shapes and images, those that in which are played at a certain positive frequency are very pleasant and, you know, easy on the eyes. Those that in which are negative, they look very nasty and ugly and unpleasant. So it's the same thing that's happening within yourself. Same thing is happening within yourself. So that's to the music that you're listening to. That's to the words that people are speaking on to you. You know, all the vibrations that even when you're living in cities, people that are living in cities versus people that don't live in cities. Look at the sound vibration that they're used to. Ambulances, cop cars, gunshots, honking, you know, a lot of industry plants that are making noise, you know, this and that. All these types of noises versus when you take yourself out of this, you don't have the same frequencies that you're living at. Just quite literal. The frequency that you're living at within a city, frequency that you're living with when you're outside of a city. These two things are just different as a whole. So frequencies and sound as a whole, it will be the thing that will affect you most immediate, because it's the thing that's constantly happening all the time. This is why I say it's senior that, you know, all things are energy, and energy is sound. So, you know, sound is a senior understanding. And this is something that is shown by way of picture on ancient Kemetic. Some would call it hieroglyphs, but as also a Dogon initiate, we would call this Medu Mayit. This is what we would call this for sure. So
that's powerful. Wow. So I'm heavy into the Kemetic culture as well, and I had Professor Kaba Kamene on here. Are you familiar with his work, Professor Kaba Kamene? He was in the Hidden Colors documentary.
He's
1804.
Yes, I know of him rather. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
For sure. Yeah.
So that's why I did that. When you said you're a Dogon this year, that's a whole nother call, brother, because he actually, I don't have it in here, but he was on the call. He was on the show last, I think, Wednesday or Thursday. We did a live stream on the channel, and dope call. But I say all that to say, when I first got exposed to his work, he taught about the Dogon, and it was dope. Like I was locked in. I was infatuated with their story, and it made me do a lot of research and a lot of due diligence on my own. So much so to it inspired me right at my second book, Star Seeds, and it was inspired by the Dogon. And so when you said that, that whole book was based off of the principles of the Dogon tribe and how they've studied the star of Sirius, and how they was able to track that star long before the technology could see the star. They had the historical records and data. I mean, you know the story clearly, but it was powerful to me. So I took that story that I learned about the Dogon from him and created the children's book, but kind of shifted it to where they will be heroes using their minds to, like save the world, to make a positive impact in the world. And the two characters were named Malik and Amaru, and those were from two of my heroes, which is Pac and Malcolm. You know what I mean? So it was it was a story of of heroes, but I mean, like from literally from the astrological perspective to here, on the planet perspective. So it was like when you said that, that's why I was like, yo, that's dope. That's a whole nother conversation I would love to get into, man, for real. In regards to sound, that's dope. Like I can't wait to have that conversation. In regards to sound, I recall Outkast, back in the day. I'm a big Cast fan as well, from the very first, from Southern Playalistic all the way to, all their music. But I know people always knew Dre 3000 was different, and he's never wanted to be anything, to fit in with everybody else. But even back then, I just recall how far advanced and ahead of their time, they were with what they were speaking about. And if I'm not mistaken, I think on AT Aliens, they had a song, I think it was a bridge or like an interlude, where they said, "You are now entering the fifth dimension of ascension, and our only intention is to take you high." I remember that, and I'll never forget that, because they already were speaking about, a lot of stuff we talking about now that people can now do their due diligence and research on, or you're seeing documentaries on Netflix and Ancient Aliens, all these things. They was on that in '96. And really prior to that, because their first album dropped in '96. So that means they had to been studying for a while, before they ever could make an album about it. But it just reminds me of how far advanced Cast was. And then now you talk about with Dre coming back out, although he's not rapping, he's coming back out with making sound music, frequency music. So it's like, it's very, very, I feel like, powerful and in divine alignment how we're seeing these things, take place in the times that we're living in, which are some extremely interesting times. So it's like, I definitely appreciate the tutorial on the sound, and especially knowing that you work with it, heavily. And with that, like, what do you think, in regards to some of the stuff that's going on with the current environment and the climate, like with the political aspects, what is your opinion in regards to these candidates, and what do you feel like is the best, I would say maybe strategy or marketing orders for people from our tradition, or even, that are in our culture, in regards to what we're looking at with this political arena?
For sure. So number one, I'll speak on Andre, and that, is great. Is such a great mentor to us, concerning sound, concerning development, concerning growth, concerning elevation. He's such a great, him and Big Boy, I really don't like to separate the two, and that, they did it together. Had it not been for one, the other one wouldn't exist.
Right.
So, I really want to acknowledge Andre and all that he's done for us. Even him, from my understanding, he himself, even, is within the Odisha community, if I'm not understanding.
That's what's up. I didn't know that. I'm not surprised though. No.
See, you have Ileke that, if you know it, you will see, oh, okay, this person's, if I'm not mistaken, he's an Obatala person as well, if I'm not mistaken.
That's dope. I'm not surprised.
But, I just want to acknowledge the greatness of him, the greatness of them, and that he has stand firm with evolution, with continuing to challenge himself. And that challenge, it's not a negative thing. It's the only key. It's the only way that we ourselves grow. So he has taken this as a great, even though he may not have verbalized it, but he's like, this is a part of his way of life, in that I must challenge myself to grow and to become, more than that in which I was before. So I think that we should learn that. That's the main lesson that we should learn with Andre, and that even him, he's saying like, I don't want to rap because, what am I going to rap about? What he's saying is that I'm not going to be able to express something that in which I want to listen to. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I could do it. It would entertain you, but it's not going to entertain me. It's not going to be the full expression of who I am. Because actually, I don't necessarily want to hear about that. I don't want to hear about it. So I think that he would accept the challenge if he wanted to hear himself talk about it like that. So he said that I can still express myself in this way, artistically, and that's something that we have to give hats off and give the praises to Andre to challenging, even as a rapper. He's like, I'm a rapper, but can I do something? Can I do this thing? This type of thing. Same exact concept. Me myself, I'm an artist myself, and I do the same thing. Like, how can I challenge myself? So we must all do like him within our lives. How can I challenge myself? So that's number one. But number two is politics. These two, it's something that I don't really get into. Like what are we going to be saying? Like, I would say that the understanding is politics are those who determine who get what, when, where, and why. This is kind of the nature of politics. So as a community, if you're not able to put a politician in place to serve your community, then you really don't have a say-so. It doesn't really mean anything because you're not empowering them to then empower you. But if you look at different communities like the Jewish community or this and that, they have done this. They will raise a politician and they'll put them in place, and that politician will serve this community. So that's kind of the way that we need to understand that. But if you're not doing it like that, what you're saying is that I'm giving up my desire to make a change, and you're trying to put the leadership on someone else. Hey, Trump, or hey, Kamala, can you do this thing for me? Like, what are you saying? What are you talking about? If you want to make a change, you must first be the change that you want to see. That's number one. If you want change, be the change that you are looking to see in this world. So take the leadership up with yourself. All of our movements, they had to do with that. We are the ones that are the change that we would like to see. We're not going to sit and wait. When the Black Panthers saw that they needed stop signs around, and this is kind of how they blew up. They needed stop signs. Little children were getting hit in the road. They would contact the police. They're not doing anything about it. We are going to stand on the corner with these guns, and you are going to stop because you're not going to continue to hit our children. So they're saying that we are the change that we would like to see. And that is the mentality that we need to take from our ancestors. They're the ones that are just saying to do it like this. So even the Black Panthers, some of the people during that time, the singers of that time, they weren't rocking with them hand in hand and saying that you guys, you want to try to take over America. But if you look at our ancestors, Garvey and Elijah Muhammad, this and that, we're never trying to take over this country. We are just trying to repatriate. We're trying to get back to where we have came from. Yeah, if we believe that we are the ones that were taken from our land, why don't we try to work our way to get back there and make change? So the Black Panthers trying to take over this country, that doesn't signify that at all. So we need to take the lessons that our ancestors were giving us, that gave us, that still stand true today, and implement these things, implement these ideas within ourselves and within our community. So concerning politics, I'm only.
You don't have to go no further. Listen, I'm glad I asked the question strictly to get that answer, because, bro, when I tell you that was the perfect answer, like that was the perfect answer. Ain't no candidate for us.
There's none.
If we want something done, we got to do it. Period.
That's all. We have to be the ones to do it. You're looking at Kamala, like, what? She's Black. That doesn't matter. Like, what are you saying? What are you talking about? Like, we are in alignment with those that are with us, that are working with our interests. Even if you look at the politics, look at, okay, let's say Black people are 15% of America. Democracy says that you're only supposed to get 15%. That's what you're saying. If you want to be democratic about it, you're only supposed to have 15% of that, in which is the things that are geared towards you. The majority of things should go to this other being. That's what you're saying.
Right.
I only supposed to get 15% of the 100% because I only make up 50%. So if we were talking about fair, that would be fair. Like, well, why that doesn't even make any sense.
Right.
Why would I be having this when I can, if it's up to me and my community, we could get 100% that in which we are making ourselves. We get 100% of the 100%. So if you look at it like this, that's the, what are we really doing?
Right.
What are we talking about? What is the reality at hand? So yeah, for sure.
Nah, I love it. And man, I love that answer. So with that, and if you even think about if anybody who really ever studied the Black Panther Party and see what they were really about, they weren't racist. And if you look back and do some real due diligence or research, you'll see that there was a lot of white people who were with the Panther movement. You know what I'm saying? Because the Panther movement was about the smaller percent, or I should say, matter of fact, the Panther Party movement was about battling oppression. Period. You know what I'm saying? It just so happened that us as melanated people dealt with it, and we were hit with the worst parts of oppression. But there also is oppression with every color, race, you know what I'm saying, and creed. And that's where, if you look at some of the old pictures, you'll see that there were a lot of white people who supported the Panther Party.
Correct.
Because they weren't about racism. They was about justice and equality. That's what the Black Panther organization was truly about. And with that, in closing, I feel like if there was a party that we as a people should really be openly interested and involved in researching and using a framework of, I would have to go back to somewhere that I know you have some ties to in regards to your spiritual journey. And I would have to go back to the island of Haiti and the movement and the revolution of 1804, because that is bar none what the blueprint of we as a people need to do if we really want to have a say-so in this politics arena. Because other than that, there is no real say-so.
There's no say-so other than that. I agree 100%. It's one of my great role models, I would say, is Jean-Jacques Dessalines. Yeah. I'm an Obatala man, but I'm also a Ogun man too. And he was true Ogun man. So, that is our way. That is the only way. That's our way. Not just the fight, not just the physical fighting, but they fought because they stood on the principles that in which allowed us to galvanize, to have our own, take our things back so that we can then try to again move along and to assist ourselves to continue to elevate. And they did it very well. They just didn't have the length of time. They didn't have the longevity to be able to do that. Within a small period of time, they only helped themselves. They were helping other countries within a small amount, helping other countries so that they can then go to the other countries and then kind of try to get back to Africa. So, that is the way. And let us not forget our ancestors, for the only reason why we here is because of them. So they were speaking like this, talking like this, because they knew they could see the future. They weren't just doing it for that time. They weren't just doing it for themselves. They were doing it for us. In our present right now, they were doing it for us. So, we must kind of revere them and honor them in the way that keeping that spirit, keeping that focal point, our focal point, for sure. So I agree 100% with yourself, for sure.
I say, yes, sir. Yeah, that I think that's another dope one in the books, man. Like that. I mean, because that. I mean, and it amazes me that so many of us don't know the history. So I'm gonna definitely make for sure that I start sharing more information about it here on this channel, as well as trying to get as many of the participants in that documentary on here as well. I know, like I said, we had Professor Copper last week. I got a couple of I got access to a couple of other members who were in that film that I'm gonna definitely reach out to see if I can hopefully get them on the platform again as well. But yeah, definitely, I agree, man. And Dessalines, Tucson, Makandao, Duddy Bookman, Cecilia Fatima, like those are people who I encourage our listeners to look up and research, or even just the documentary alone, because that is the true blueprint of what a true movement looks like.
100%.
100%.
100%.
Yes, sir.
I couldn't agree any more than that. Yeah.
That's what's up. Well, with that, I know time is running out on us, good brother. I definitely appreciate you, man. As always, it's always a powerful conversation when you stop by and join us, man. So I just got one last question, because I'm digging the Ochoosi t-shirt, man. Is there anything you can kind of leave with our listeners in regards to the Ashe or the energy or some of the traits or the abilities of Ochoosi that, you know, we can kind of maybe take and harness and implement with ourselves as well? Because we definitely, we just dropped, like I said, a video last week with the Warriors, and Ochoosi was a major focal point. And I love the fact that he's right back, you know, on screen today, you know, coming through you. So it's like with that, shoot, let's close that thing out with Ochoosi, man. What can you share with the people that we should know about Ochoosi?
Sure. So it's been this kind of whole, I wouldn't say the whole of it, but the majority of this conversation is kind of like an Ochoosi topic, in that, you know, we're talking about not only just war, but how do we have the victory of it concerning ourselves, our community, these types of things. We have talked at great length about meditation. So Ochoosi is one of the ones that he is a meditator, heavy meditator, because he has to have the ability with his force of nature to be able to lock in on a target, hold still, so that in which what he shoots out will come back and not only serve himself, but also the entire community. So that understanding of being in the forest, being in the thick of things, being in the harshness of nature, being able to become one of it. When there are flies around, when there are gnats around, when there are mosquitoes around, when there are snakes around, when there are crocodiles around, Ochoosi is the one that will sit still, and it will sit there and wait and wait and wait patiently until that in which the target that is becomes his focal point that he's desiring. And that's for us to understand as well. What are we desiring? And then we lock in on it. We don't move from it. And then we strike with quickness as well as accuracy. And so that is the way that we should be as a people. And that's, you know, Ochoosi is the energy that allows us to understand these concepts so that we can do that, because we will need to do this many different times in our lives. So, you know, concerning meditation, concerning precision, concerning stillness, concerning harmony with nature, concerning focus, we need all of these things for us to be successful and to maintain our success for great longevity. So, you know, we must pay homage to the great Ochoosi for this.
Yes, sir. Now that was powerful. Listen, oh man. So it's funny, when I was having the call last week with Barbara Carey, I recall when we were talking about, I had a vision in my head of the movie. I don't know, I hope you saw it, but you ever see the movie The Immortals?
I have not. I need to see it.
Please check that movie out, brother. It's called The Immortals. And I was telling Barbara Carey, I wasn't as far along on my Orisha path as I am now when that movie came out. And so it came out in 2011. Matter of fact, I don't even know if I was studying Orisha yet in 2011, but it came out 2011, I believe. But anywho, after knowing what I know now in regards to Orisha, that movie was about Ochoosi. And so, bruh, the whole object of the movie is there's a bastard child named Theseus who was a child of a slave, but the father was a god. So the father watched him and I mean, man, just telling you about it, it's like I'm gonna watch it again, because the father, being that he was a god, he wasn't allowed to really intervene with mankind and human activity, right?
Oh, wow.
So he's watching his son as a bum, as a homeless man, and he, you know what I'm saying? So he's watching him right next to him, you know what I'm saying? Like, because he knows he transforms and shapeshifts into a homeless man, And so he's watching them. He's like kind of like a mentor / advisor, but he also is watching them from the sky. Now, mind you, one of the symbolisms in animals to Ochoosi is the falcon, because of the precision, because of the striking, because of the speed, all that. So he also watches him from the sky as in the form of a hawk or a falcon. Man, it's a dope movie. But I say all that to say the movie, I don't want to give it away, but the bow plays a very intricate piece to that movie. And that's what made me know that this movie was really about Ochoosi, not so much about what they made it out to be. But I say all that to say, in closing, when you were giving your answer about Ochoosi and about the precision and the stillness and the being able to wait and like, you know, be timely and all that, it reminded me of, I think it was X-Men Apocalypse. And there was a part in the very beginning, and I want to say, I don't remember if it was Wolverine. I can't remember which character it was, but they came to like almost like a concentration camp or something to get one of the X-Men from the place to kidnap him, whatever. But I recall him having this, I don't know if it was like a bracelet, it was something, but it was something like with a ball. You remember that little, I don't know what they call it. It was like a game where you click one ball and it clicks the other, it clicks like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
So it was like one of those things. So he took it and he got so mad because they killed his family that he whirled it in the air like real fast. And mind you, because he had X-Men, when he let it go, and it went out and it slit all the warriors who came to get him. It slit every single one of their necks all simultaneously, like
wow,
boomerang, bro. And I'm just like, so when you were saying what you were saying just now, I'm thinking like, damn, I think this another kind of like, you know, Ochoosi symbolism, because of like the way I just had that vision, like, yo, that was an X-Men too. But I think it was X-Men Apocalypse. I had to look up which one. But anywho, the deities are powerful, you know, and I've seen them invoked on this platform many times through many guests. And I give thanks for, you know, the ability to just, or the opportunity to just to be able to have these conversations with you and all the other guests that we've had, because every time it's something that I learn, and I know that the listeners learn, you know, and get things out of too in terms of value. So I definitely want to take the time to let you know I appreciate you, man, and all the times that you come through to chop it up with us and share your you know, your knowledge, your wisdom, and just, you know, your ashe with us, because it's definitely needed. And I look forward to, you know, doing it again, you know, whenever our schedules align in the near future, brother, because it's always an honor and a pleasure.
Yeah, man, it's always an honor and pleasure, man. You're always doing great, looking great, being great. You know, even all the people that you have on here, you know, these people are excellent. You know, you do a great job of you know, questioning and getting the authentic experiences from people and authentic perspectives. So, you know, man, we really need beings like you, people like you, especially as a Black man, you know, being righteous, man. So as I always say, man, continue being great, continue doing what you do, because we need you, and we need you to do it the way that you do it. Sure.
Shit, man. I definitely appreciate that. And real quick before we out of here too, bro, you do have a couple of things that I can probably put some links in the description. I think you got some OT, you got an OT company, you got some t-shirts and a few other things, man. Let the people know real quick, like, you know, what you have that you can offer, you know, for folks who want to support you and your business.
Yeah, for sure. The link is Spiritual Gangster. That's with an A at the end, not an ER. Spiritualgangster.store. So there you'll see the liquor company, that is made specifically for our shrine spaces, so that we can remove the European influence from there, so that we can have an all African, you know, experience that will heighten and elevate our process. As well as I have a clothing company that is called the Shrine Line. All right, so you know that is where you see things like Ochoosi, Iemoja, Oya, Shango, Batala, Oromila, these things. These not only shirts, but we also have like whole jumpsuits. You know, it's getting colder, so we have sweatsuits there. You know, so you can order those there as well. So, and we have the services. You know, from iridology to laying hands to reading in a ball to all of these things, you know. So, you know, this is a one-stop one-stop shop with a site. You can go there and it shows all of the things that are available for the public.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, man. And I'll drop the links in the description, family, and also I'll share the link to your IG as well if they want to follow you on social media to get updates for any of the events that you might have going on. You know, any of the work that you're doing. I definitely connect the people to you as well. Just like I said, to keep the energy and the ashe flowing, man. The energy exchange is definitely something we all need, especially in regards to supporting Black businesses. So I definitely look forward to doing that, you know, for our listeners as well as to, you know, hopefully get people to invest in the excellent products and services that you're putting into the marketplace for us on behalf of Isheshe and the E5 Orisha community.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes, sir. And I appreciate you. So, ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, we appreciate all the love and support. And this has been another episode of the African Spirituality Experience. I'm your host, Orisha Bami. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel and check out Baba Fagbenga's work, the shirts, the clothes, the Edise, the OT, all that there. So that way we can continue to have these conversations and to be able to do it and support our family simultaneously. So I appreciate all the love and support. We are out. Peace. Odabo.
Ẹni tó gbàgbé ilé sàpò ìyàpọ̀ tẹ́ǹtì ẹni takísà ní tàtàn ò bá padà sílé anítìjàkọ ẹja lọ pé eégún mo sí ẹni gbẹ́rẹ́ ìpàkọ́. Forsake not your ancestors and praise your